economics, policy response, markets, and health. And I think there's a couple of things here, and I'm going to let you talk in a moment. But one of the things is we're seeing a lot of cheap money pumped into the economy. That cheap money, it would appear the Fed is going to keep rates low out to 2024. There is talk about inflation. I've talked to the network about the velocity of money. Money supply has gone up, velocity of money's falling. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so let's break this down. Typically when we have a financial crisis, and you and I have been doing this a long time, you get this, typically there's three things. You have policies, policymakers, economics, and markets. And those three basically have done most financial crises since the World War. Okay, we've had some geopolitics in between that. This one's unusual. You have a fourth circle. So you've got economics, underlying economies reacting. You've got markets reacting to policy response, but the fourth circle is driving everything that's been happening, and that's health. That's a pandemic called COVID-19. Now we can sit there and debate how the policymakers around the world have reacted to this, and we would probably agree some of them have done a very poor job, including maybe one state in Australia. There, I nearly gave it away. You know, just could have done a better job looking at this. But the response of this pandemic has meant that policymakers have done, as you've just said, they've pumped fiscal deficit. In other words, they've run deficits in their budgets, which is a surplus in the community using cheap money. They've drastically lowered interest rates, and the central banks have bought financial assets from the private sector, i.e. they've expanded their balance sheets. The net effect of all of this is the following. You've got the economies tracking sideways or going down because of lockdown measures, but bizarrely the markets are going up because there is very low interest rates, and in some circumstances the stimuluses around the world have been pretty decent in keeping relatively things going along. The one thing I would agree with you, and this is an independent view, so the network doesn't think we're collaborating, is that it's very hard to see inflation in this. I mean, basically the market is on life support via government handouts and low rates until the economy bounces back. And I don't see demand pushing inflation up for a while. Now, for a while is what you've just said. It's really a 3-year thing. The banks have said that even if there is a slight uptick in inflation, we will keep rates low. And so we're in this very unusual world where you have expensive, somewhat expensive markets in the technology area in particular, going through the roof, while meanwhile the economies are struggling, or the economic outlook is mixed because some economies are opening up, some are closing. It's a really weird mix. And managing through that, and we'll discuss this throughout this, this next 45 minutes or so, is you're going to have to think about this tactically, but more importantly, strategically, of how you structure your portfolios in this environment. And the world is changing, and I don't know when we come out of the other side, and when we'll come out the other side, what we're going to pick up and what's left. I actually think that when we do the come aside, it'll be very similar to what we left. People will want to travel, people want human movement. And as the economies get pumping, we'll see more activity. But in this weird environment next couple of years, because of the damage being done, you're right. I think inflation's a tough one here. I don't think you see a lot of inflationary pressures or margins for that matter.